Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. We have a great turnout for our inaugural State of the Chamber event. We know your time is very valuable, and we thank you for being here. One of the things that we're actually going to do two things this morning. One, we're going to try to combine two different things. One is for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Detroit Regional Chamber in terms of all that we do, we hope to give you a little bit of an overview of the breadth of our programs and the breadth of our impact. We also want to spend a little bit of time focused on some of the things that we're going to be focusing on in 2020, how we're going to use the investment that you make. So first of all, I want to let you know that our chamber is strong. As Tammy mentioned, we are the third largest chamber in the country, and by actually some measures, we're actually the largest chamber in the country. And we achieved this status because of you, because you all have supported us through thick and thin. Certainly before my arrival in Detroit, we were always one of the most respected and largest chambers in the country, and I'm glad that we've been able as a board, as a membership, and as a staff to extend that reputation into the future. One of the reasons why we are larger as a chamber than we are as a region is that we do more things than a traditional chamber of commerce does. Certainly we perform all of the functions that you would expect from a regional chamber of commerce. Everything from connecting your business to others, to providing you programming, and our legislative powerhouse, but also we are one of the chief conveners in the region and the state, certainly signified by our premier event, the Mackinac Policy Conference, but also we have impact programs that are focused on not just what's happening today, but what is going to happen tomorrow, and ensure that we are forward-looking and setting the stage for future success in our region. So we are proud that we have over 2,500 members supporting the regional chamber. We believe it's not enough to have just a footprint here in our metro area. So we cover 11 counties that comprise the Detroit region. And the reason why we do that is because we will succeed as a region together, or we will lag as a region together. And it is important that all parts of our region are successful. Moving a business from Northville to Detroit, or from Warren to Troy, doesn't do anything to impact our unemployment rate. It does nothing to impact our educational achievement. All something like that would do is create a change in our commuting patterns. And that's why we focus on the entire region. We are proud that our membership is as diverse as our region itself. When you look at our industry breakdown, we represent all forms of business and all sizes of business. Our most popular section is professional services, financial services, and real estate are our largest section of membership. And as Tammy mentioned, our impact goes far beyond the 11 counties in Southeast Michigan. And I'll touch on some of these things as we move through the presentation this morning. One, as I mentioned, we are a political powerhouse. We have one of the most respected legislative teams in the state. And in fact, when it comes to business organization, we're in the top 2 on a fairly regular basis. We are a respected and valued partner to the sitting governor, regardless of party. And our political action committee endorsement is valued not just here in the region, but actually statewide. And speaking of endorsements, we were the first business organization to support Mayor Duggan when he was running as a write-in candidate. We were the first organization to support Governor Snyder when he was just Rick Snyder, and he was so low and early in the polls that he called himself the margin of error candidate. And that meant that if you applied the margin of error to his poll number, he could have been a negative number. But we had faith in him and we supported him. And of course, we were the first business organization in the state to support our current governor, Gretchen Whitmer. And we are frequently called upon by Michigan's leadership, not just here in the state, but our congressional leadership on a regular basis to provide input on policy and help with their initiatives. As I mentioned, we have one of the top-ranked advocacy teams in the state. And that focuses not just on Lansing, but here in Detroit, throughout our region with the county executives, and also in partnership with other large regional chambers across the Great Lakes. We have your voice in Washington as well. And one of the things that makes us unique is that we are a bipartisan organization when it comes to political issues. Our endorsements are generally 50-50 when it comes to Democrats and Republicans. And when it comes time to working an issue on your behalf, we work on both sides of the aisle and we are respected by both sides of the aisle. One of the things that we're going to be doing in 2020 that is new is that we have created a new policy framework for 2030, and we're calling this the Michigan 2030 Plan. One of the things that we want to do as your regional chamber is ensure we're not just focused on policy issues of today, but we want to ensure that this region and this state has a policy roadmap to ensure that we're not just successful, but we are thriving in 2030. So we're going to create a 10-year policy plan to ensure that the things that we do today and tomorrow positions our region for economic and social success across the region and across the state. So when we get to 2030, we can all look around and say, wow, I didn't think we could accomplish that. And if you don't think that's possible, go back 10 years. Think about where we were 10 years ago. Not many of us would have predicted that the Detroit region would be as prosperous, that we'd have made as much progress as we have. We need to do that again to get to 2030. And also, when we look at the things that we are really focused on, next generation mobility is absolutely critical to this state and this region's success. We are the region that put the world on wheels, and we own the mobility industry of the last century. But as we all know, this industry is changing dramatically, and it is changing dramatically in front of our eyes. So we are focused through our MishAuto program, which is one of our statewide programs, to ensure that we are focused on the issues facing not just our traditional automotive companies, but our next generation mobility companies, and those are rapidly merging into one particular industry. We're focused on talent, making sure that our automotive and mobility companies have the talent they need to succeed and keep their R&D and keep their headquarters based here in Michigan. We're focused on awareness. We want to make sure that this state and this region never loses the understanding of how important our mobility industry, not just today, but into the future. We are focused on policy. What are the things that we need to do, not just locally, but across the state and across the nation to ensure that we in Michigan are positioned to lead the mobility industry, not just today, but into the future. So we are making a significant investment in MishAuto to ensure that MishAuto has the resources that it needs. Now, fortunately, we have already 120 firms that are engaged in investing in MishAuto, and we hope to grow that over time. And we're focused on ensuring that this industry is really firing on all cylinders. Another area of focus of this chamber, it has been for quite some time, but it will continue to be in the future, is education and talent. We are proud that the Detroit Regional Chamber has the most comprehensive education and talent portfolio of programs and policy initiatives than any organization in the state other than the state of Michigan. And all of our programs are focused in 3 different areas. The first area is access. How do we get more young people and adults the access to higher education opportunities? And when we talk about higher education opportunities, we're not just talking about a 4-year college degree, although that remains obviously incredibly important. But we're talking about two-year associate's degrees, and we're also talking about highly skilled certificates. The next bucket of program is ensuring success. And this is where a lot of regions fall short. It's not enough just to get someone, either a young person or adult, into an education advancement program. We need to ensure that they are successful in their education experience and they are able to graduate from that experience into a job that is a family wage job. And then finally, we need to grow our talent. We need to ensure that we're recruiting talent from other parts of the world and the nation to bolster our talent needs. And we also want to make sure that we're retaining the talent that we are educating here in this region. It does us not so much good if someone gets a degree here in Michigan and they choose to go someplace else. So I'm going to highlight just a handful of our programs that are in our education portfolio. One is the Detroit Promise, and this is something that many of you are probably already familiar with. But the Detroit Promise provides universal access to every high school graduate in the city of Detroit, a pathway to a tuition-free 2-year or 4-year collegiate experience. We started this over 30 years ago with a program called the Detroit Compact, but working with Mayor Mike Duggan, then Governor Snyder, and the Michigan Education Excellence Foundation, we have been able to expand this program in a significant way, and that's when it became the Detroit Promise. To date, we've put over 4,000 students through the Detroit Promise alone, not even counting the program before the Detroit Promise existed. And so when I talked about ensuring success once they get to an educational program, one of the things that we are doing is called the Detroit Promise Pathway. And that positions chamber staff in all of our regional community colleges to serve as not just an academic coach, but a life coach, to ensure that a student going through their collegiate experience through the Detroit Promise has not just academic coaching, but all of the other things that might prevent them from succeeding in their education career. Think about housing security, transportation issues, even food security. These are all important issues, especially for residents from less prosperous areas and for those students who are the first in their family to attend college. Also, as we aim to retain our talent and grow our talent, we created the region's first live, work, play portal called Let's Detroit. We created this program because we are all focused on maintaining our talent base and growing our talent base. And I know from talking to many of you that that is your greatest challenge, is this war for talent that your companies are in and that our region is in. So one of our staff Googled the term "move to Detroit," and the #1 search that popped up was a moving company that had a truck in front of what looked like a coke pile, but I'm sure it wasn't, with a phone number on their website that didn't match the big phone number that was on the truck. That is not the reputation that our region deserves and wants. So this first Live, Work, Play portal is focused on young professionals, college students, and recent college graduates. The great thing about this portal is, one, we developed this with dozens of other organizations. This is not something that we are doing ourselves. And as you go to Let's Detroit, you won't even see the Detroit Regional Chamber name or logo. We are focused on you and your companies. Secondly, this provides a platform for your companies to talk to young professionals about the new type of culture that you are building in your organizations and talk about your job opportunities. Thirdly, it's not chamber staff or people my age who are answering the questions that come in through the portal, either from the region or from other parts of the country. We have recruited a whole slew of young professionals and college students to answer questions that come in. So if you want to know about, say, the jazz scene in Ferndale, or if you want to know about what it's like to live in the Old English Village section of Detroit, we will, through technology, connect you to one of our ambassadors that can speak intelligently about that particular question. So I encourage you all to go to the Let's Detroit website and check it out and see how it might be able to work for your company. And one of the other things that we do, and we are completely reliant on this for so much of our work at the Detroit Regional Chamber, is our award-winning research efforts. We host, with partners, the Detroit Regional Data Center, which is accessible to all of our stakeholders and provides data for not just us, not just you, but also our elected officials. We also have developed a reputation as a go-to source for the media and government officials regarding the health of our region and even doing some light economic forecasting. And we have developed a whole slew of publications and events around our ability to do data and research in a world-class fashion. They include our State of the Region event, which benchmarks this region, this 11-county region, not just against how we've been doing over years past and how we might be growing, but we benchmark ourselves against national averages and 9 other competing regions across the country. We also use our data powerhouse to ensure that we have the mobility and automotive information to ensure that we are tracking the industry closely, that we are supporting our Machado program, and that we are providing a resource to the automotive community as well. Best-in-class convening. Most of you have been, or at least have tuned in to the free broadcast of our Mackinac Policy Conference, and we are proud of what we were able to do with that conference. That conference is unique in the nation, and we know that because every year we have people from chambers of commerce, from economic development organizations, from other types of civic groups across the country come and attend the conference because they hear about it and they want to know what it's all about, and they all leave wanting to recreate what the Detroit Regional Chamber has done with the Mackinac Policy Conference. This year is our 40th year, and to date, no one else has been able to recreate the magic of the Mackinac Policy Conference. But it's not just the Mackinac Policy Conference. We are focused on things right here in the city of Detroit and the Detroit region, which is why we do the Detroit Policy Conference, which is really geared for local issues, and you can attend at a very affordable rate, and it's right down the street. We focus on events with our political leaders, people like the governor, our U.S. senators, and other delegation, with the mayor, with our county executives. We want to ensure that you can hear from them, and just as importantly, they can hear from you. And so we're very proud of all of the kinds of events that we do that connect you to your elected leadership. And obviously, we really focus on ensuring that our membership, that you all who are generously support us, are getting value for your dollars. We provide valuable programming to our members to network with other members, to connect to business opportunities, to engage with our regional leadership, new marketing techniques, and other issues that impact your business, such as learning about ways to mitigate cybersecurity risks, new ways to market your product using new technology, and how legalized cannabis might impact this state and, just as importantly, your business. Our Detroiter magazine is also award-winning, and you should be getting that on a fairly regular basis. And we there cover topics relevant to our regional businesses. In those issues, we focus on businesses of all size and business leaders and civic leaders that are doing a myriad of things. And one of the stories that we want to continually tell through our Detroiter magazine are the innovative things that your companies are doing, either from a product development standpoint or how you're changing your culture to attract young professionals to your organization. We also have a long-term partnership with our great friends at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, and we call it Wellness Works. And this is focused on employee wellness strategies to ensure that you not just have the talent that you need, but you're keeping that talent healthy and engaged and certainly attending work on a higher level. And then with our friends at General Motors, we run a program called Neighbor Hub. And Neighbor Hub is a micro-grant program for organizations in neighborhoods in the city of Detroit that are making a real difference in building both their businesses and their social capital to ensure that this huge expansion that we have seen across downtown and Corktown and other parts of this region that extend into Detroit neighborhoods, because we are not going to be successful as a city, we're not going to be successful as a region until far more of our fellow citizens are sharing in that prosperity. And finally, I want to make some thank yous. First of all, thank you to all of you who support the Detroit Regional Chamber. One of the things that gratifies me the most about our membership base is the number of companies that have been with us, not just for years, but for decades. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate that support. We also appreciate that so many of you and employees of yours volunteer for the Chamber, for various committees about programming our events, our marketing committee that helps us with our PR. There's a whole slew of things. We even have an ambassador program where people actually represent the Chamber on a volunteer basis at other events and help us with our own events. And thinking of volunteers, I want to thank our board of directors. We have a fantastic board of directors, and as Tammy mentioned, we are proud that we have a board of directors of 80 C-suite individuals that represent businesses of all sorts, and certainly all of the leading and largest businesses across the region. And finally, this is something I don't get to do frequently enough in a public forum like this. I want to thank the team at the Chamber. Now, many of you know how hard our team of 80+ people work on your behalf. But one of the things that you may not know is that late in 2019, the Detroit Regional Chamber was named by the Detroit Free Press as a top workplace. We are incredibly proud of that because, like your organizations, we are hyper-focused on the quality of life within our walls and ensuring that we have a culture that is accepting of all types of people and particularly young professionals. And so we're very, very proud of that. So thank you all, not just for being here today, but thank you for your investment in the Detroit Regional Chamber. You sustain us. We couldn't do this work without you, and please know we are incredibly grateful. Thank you all very much. Happy New Year, and have a great day.